Welcome back everyone, Meanpooh here, and today we're going to look at the performance of Metro 2033, Metro Last Light, and Metro Exodus. The test system will be using the Vega 56 with a Ryzen 9 3900X. The CPU will be cooled using the NZXT Kraken X62, and the Vega 56 will be OC and air cooled. If you want more info, check the description box. So, Metro 23 is a linear shooter taking place in the post-apocalyptic metro system of Moscow, 20 years after World War III. Your character, whose name is Artem, must make his way through the dangerous metro to save his home station from a looming mutant threat coming from the surface. Combat is good and intense. At times you will face a multitude of enemies, some human, while others are paranormal or mutated creatures. Since the game is a shooter, there are plenty of weapons that will be found to use at your disposal. You have a revolver, which is a standard firearm, an AK Kalash, which looks like a variant of the AK-47. There's also a gun called a Duplay, which is a double-barreled shotgun, and I think I might have mispronounced that name. But anyway, the rest you'll have to find on your own. The ammunition for your weapons will come in the form of spears, lead balls, shot shells, cartridges, auto rounds, and military type. All ammunition fire differently and have various damage properties. Some ammunition can be used as currency in the safe stations. Ammo is very scarce in this world, so don't waste by firing aimlessly. Metro 2033 uses a very limited heads-up display element to make a more realistic and immersive experience. Rather than use a health bar, blood splatters on the screen indicate how much damage is being inflicted upon your character. Your gas mask will fog up in radioactive zones, hinting at how long you have until a new filter is required. In order to survive, you must constantly be aware of the game's subtle indicators. For instance, use your wristwatch to know how long your filters are good before they need changing, or when you need to check your heading, you must check your compass. The game is narratively driven in that at all times you are trying to progress through the game's level to reach a new segment of the game's story. Looking at performance, I set the game to 1920 by 1080. Settings that never changed are SSA 4 times, texture filtering AF 16 times. Blur is set to off and VSync is off as well. Quality and tessellation are the only ones that were adjusted. Before I get to it, the CPU and GPU stayed pretty much the same, as you will see. Starting with the very high settings, GPU averaged 79.5 and the CPU averaged 52. As crazy as it may seem, FPS averaged 52 as well. High settings had the GPU averaging 80 and the CPU at 51C. This had the FPS averaging 78. The last quality setting is medium. Like I said earlier, the GPU and CPU pretty much stayed the same at 80 and 51C. FPS average increased to 161 FPS. Next we have Metro Last Light, which picks right up after Metro 2033. You'll still be fighting in the Metro system, but occasionally you will have missions that allow you to go above ground. The game is filled with hostile humans and mutants ready to take you out whenever they get a chance. The game has larger environments than 2033 and has multiple routes to complete your task. Last Light also features destructible environments in which certain objects such as pillars collapse after being shot. Numerous diary entries written by Artem provide additional insight regarding the game's story, and they are scattered throughout the environments for you to collect and read. Being a first-person shooter like the first, you'll have access to different kinds of weapons, and some of the cons apply. Ammunition is scarce and you will have to scavenge as much as possible. Make use of trading when in checkpoints and make the most efficient use of ammunition and currency. If you can, get some attachments such as silencers, laser sights, and night vision to help with targeting and taking your opponents out. Last Light's locations reflect the dark atmosphere of real metro tunnels, with added survival horror elements. Paranormal phenomena such as shadow figures, hallucinations, and unexplained noises are present, and for the most part, you have to rely on your lighter and rechargeable flashlight to navigate the darkness. Locations layout are often intricate, and the game lacks any form of map or objective marker, leaving you to try to find your objectives with only a compass. The surface is more dangerous than the metro system. It has a day-night cycle and a dynamic weather system. These sections are severely irradiated, and a gas mask must be worn at all times because of the toxic air. You must collect and scavenge air filters for the gas mask. These last several minutes each and are automatically replaced if you have more in reserve. When fighting, your mask will get dirty from dirt and blood and will need to be wiped off. To find out how long until a filter expires, just check the timer on your wristwatch. The watch also doubles to let you know if you have been spotted by the enemy. When fighting the enemy, take note of the ammunition in your gun on screen. This will let you know when it's time to reload. Last Light also features a karma system. Good karma can be acquired by good actions, such as rescuing people from enemy characters, listening to conversations between NPCs, or sparing enemy soldiers. Bad karma can be acquired from evil actions, such as killing people randomly or stealing things. The karma will affect the ending of the game that you will experience. Performance-wise, with the Vega 56 and Ryzen 9 3900X, the very high setting has the GPU at 80C. CPU is sitting at 52.5 and FPS is averaging 48. The high quality setting has the GPU at 80.5 and the CPU at 53. FPS of course increased to 74. The last setting we have is medium. The GPU averaged 79.5 and the CPU was averaging 52.5. Finishing this up, we have the FPS at 128. Just like the first game, the CPU and GPU pretty much stayed the same, and the only thing that has changed was the FPS. Also, we have the same settings that were never adjusted, which were SSA 4 times, texture filtering AF 16 times, blur is set to off, as well as VSync. Lastly, we have Metro Exodus, which is the last in this series and my personal favorite. It is set after the events of its predecessor on a post-apocalyptic Earth that has been devastated by a nuclear war. The game continues the story of Artem, who flees the metro in Moscow and sets off on a journey across the continent with some Spartan Rangers and anyone else that wants to help. First thing you will notice from the previous entry is that it is huge. There are countless mutants both on land, sea, and in the air, and they are roaming unchecked, so you will have to be on guard at all times. Some resemble small dogs, giant birds, and there is one type of creature that can only be described as supernatural. The land is also inhabited by other humans, some friendly, but most of the time they're not. They are referred to as bandits. Many times as you are able to free roam, you will discover an encampment. Usually there are some goodies inside if you can clean out whatever has taken residence in it. You don't always have to go in guns blazing, you can stealthily take out all the inhabitants with just knife kills. Just stay in the darkness and don't forget to turn out the lights. As you kill throughout the game, don't forget to collect resources so you can craft ammunition, grenades, and model laws at workbenches, or even build new guns based on what parts you have available. There is also a day-night cycle that has advantages and disadvantages when going on missions, so make sure to listen to NPCs if they give advice. Story is engaging and never gets boring and never feels like fetch quests. In some missions, you will want to explore outside of the main objective by going off track, but stray too far and you'll find yourself dead by some overpowered creature, or possibly surrounded by zombie-like monsters. Some of the best looking mutants are in the desert. In this installment, items such as your helmet, plate carrier, weapons, equipment, all can be customized. When scavenging, you can strip parts off of found weapons and use them on your own, such as, again, scopes. Something that was added to the game which is very helpful is being able to craft in the field or available workbenches. As you make your way through the story, you will encounter different seasons of the world such as winter, summer, etc. These will affect some of the missions you will have to partake in. In the benchmark for Metro Exodus, these are the settings that will not change. VSync is set to off as well as motion blur. DirectX is set to 12. Hairworks is off. Advanced Physics is set to off. Tessellation will stay on. Texture filtering AF is set to 16. And shading rate is set to 1.0. Like in the other two games, the GPU and CPU were in the same range, which is pretty awesome as I've never experienced this before. This time the quality setting is set to extreme. This setting is not available in the other games, and this is the highest setting I could select. GPU averaged 80C while the CPU averaged 52.5. FPS averaged 55, but I expected lower just because of how the game runs on other GPUs. Ultra quality has the GPU at 80.5, and as expected, CPU sits around 52. The FPS increased to 79 on average, and like the other games, have spiked higher. The last setting we have is high, and like the last few games again, GPU averaged 80.5 and CPU averaged 52.5. FPS didn't make a significant jump like in the other installment, but it did go up. This had an average of 96 FPS. The video average time for Metro 2033 and Last Light averaged around 5 minutes, while Metro Exodus videos averaged 16 minutes. The Metro Exodus videos had the most variances as the day turned to night, tall grass, caves, and features open and closed areas, so if you attempt to do what I have, you may get different results. All of these are good games, as you can see from the review scores. They are all very consistent except for the user score for Exodus. If you are a fan of shooters and like a post-apocalyptic setting, these are your games. They are far from perfect, but will definitely scratch that itch you may have for a good story, some lores, and great atmosphere. In closing, if the video helped you, feel free to like and subscribe. If you would like to know the hardware I'm using, and as usual, they are in the description box. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Meanpooh out.
If we spend a week there, it won't just cure Anna. It'll make Colonel grow his feet back. Damn, this is one bumpy ride. The rails are all bent. The whole track seems to be fixing to slide down. It's completely awesome, Colonel. Sir, Anna is sure to love it here. Over. Ah, shit! a big one, and I'll never forget this, I swear! These forest fuckers just left me here for the wolves!
Avast! Stop right there! It's the brethren of the coaster! Take another step and we run our rig on.
Look, I've been thinking about asking you all this time. All this pirate stuff, the court...
You need us to...
Guys! There! In that window! I just saw him! Guys! Time to vanish! Get a move on! We've got to check the store right down to the lower. Nothing here.
I don't seem to recognize you. Which barrack are you from?
Seen in the video.
Guys, he's over there behind that pillar. Eat this one. You drifter!
You... I sure hope it can hold our weight. Let's hail the Aurora and tell them to take the other road. Come in, Aurora. This is forward recon. Do you read? Over.
Aurora here. Reading you loud and clear. Over.
Situation is completely awesome, Colonel. Sir, Anna is sure to love it here. Over.
Glad to hear that. Carry on. Aurora, over and out.
Church for one.
Our guys caught your friend, but I can see your two are not bandits. I'll help you out if you don't do anything stupid. Gotta run now. Just stay out of sight and you'll be fine. Catch you later.
I owe you a big one, and I'll never forget this, I swear! These forest fuckers just left me here for the wolves! I don't seem to recognize you.
Avast! Stop right there!
All this time. All this pirate stuff, the court, the boat.
He was hiding down there. Eat this one, Drifter! Wait, he's gonna get out of me, guys! Reload! Take this, he's through this! The Drifter's pinned down!